How long will you keep doubting yourself before you realize your potential is limitless? How long will you keep devaluing your worth before you realize that you are priceless? How long will you keep minimizing the importance of your dreams before you realize your dreams have a place and a purpose in this world? How long will you keep looking for answers outside of yourself before you realize the guidance you're seeking is within you? How long will you keep trusting only what your eyes can see before you realize the truth exists inside your heart? How long will you keep playing small before you realize you're meant for so much more? How long will you keep hiding your true self before you realize this world desperately wants to see you shine? How long will you keep waiting? How long will you keep holding back? And how long will you keep chasing the sun before you realize the sun is inside of you? Wow. Let's go. My name is Miles Augusto, and this is The Hearts of Men. I don't know how to start this thing. I've been contemplating this for months. It's on my heart to launch a show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, for guys like me. And I don't know, what's a guy like me, right? To put it plain and simple, I'm fatherless, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And this first episode has to be about my story, so you can decide whether or not you even can listen to me, if I even register with you, if we're even on the same page. You know what I'm saying? This is me putting myself out there, trying to build something that I think a lot of men need. Whether you're younger, whether you're older, or whether you're right in the middle, decide for yourself, if you can relate. There's so much out there. There's so much out there to sift through, and we all have our favorites. We all love listening to what we listen to, but my life experience has made me not only in what I am today, but what I'm gonna be and what I want to do, and what I want to create, how I see myself, and the things that I want to attract into my life. And forgive me if I sound a little bit nervous, because I'm about to talk some crazy nonsense about my life. But we got to do it. Man. I was born November 89, and, my dad is an Italian immigrant, and my mother is beautiful with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I have an older sister. She's older than me about a year and a half. And I'm from San Diego, California. I don't live there right now. I don't live there anymore. I made a sick move. We'll get into it. But before I even come into the picture, I've got to obviously set the stage for my whole life. I think my mom grew up in my grandfather was a pilot in the Navy, her father, and my mom has got a brother and a sister, and she's the youngest. And my grandfather being in the Navy, they moved around a lot, but they ended up in San Diego, probably from Florida, and that's why I was born there. His dad had a construction company, cement, masonry, DNR, Domenico and Rocco. And so my pops was just doing construction forever. And his dad, they did a job at my mom's house when they were younger. And that sort of maybe set the stage for them meeting. And they met like out of high school. Mom's Duke was pretty young. They were pretty young parents in their 20s. Mom's was early 20s, which is wild to think about these days. And my mom always tells me how much she admired my father, and how, dude, he looked like Sylvester Stallone. The guy was mad handsome, long flowing black hair, built in shape, worked out, super blessed, bro. I mean, got really good genetics, kinda, That's to be determined, but yeah, it was love, you know what I'm saying? For a quick second, like, there's no fronts in this, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm gonna be 1,000% with you guys in my life. Like, it's not, they split mad early because my dad was a drug addict. You know what I mean? He was like, he was just like he was on crystal meth, coke, uppers, young stimulants. I had to just jump into that because that's just what it's going to be. And so my sister maybe could even remember more than I can, obviously, about young life, because I was really young when they split up, like less than 1 year old, right? And the reason why they split up is because my mom was starting to find drugs in the house, and that was kind of like the last straw for her, and she didn't want me to be around that. She didn't want her kids to be around that. She didn't want that to be like her life, So she up and they split. And she took us, and we moved into a young apartment in El Cajon, if you're familiar, East County. Your boy's born and raised East County. So immediately, I just come from a severment of the family ties, and I had no idea that has such a profound impact on a young man until I ended up growing up in life and just questioning a lot of things. So where I sort of kick in memory-wise is like already with a stepdad and a stepbrother and like a new house and like going to school, and that's just what it was. I don't think my mom really wasted any time in going from that relationship into another relationship, which still exists today, So it's bittersweet, right? It's like she found the security and the love that she needed in life. I mean, that's just what it is, dude. She, bless her. You know what I'm saying? Bless her for being able to do that. Like I said, she's a very attractive woman, and she could have had any man in life. That's on. So, me, man, your boy was just, I grew up with a lot of fear, I grew up with so much fear. That's just how it was. My environment was my environment, and it just felt like it wasn't real, It just felt like you gotta, dude. Anybody who knows, man, who's got the young stepdad with the different family, and we didn't mesh those, we didn't mesh those at all. We kept them separated. My stepbrother's like 7 years older than me, and my sister, we just didn't blend, we just did not blend. We looked different. It was me and my mom and my sister living in this house with my stepdad and his son from a previous marriage. And like, dude was a hard ass. My stepdad was a hard ass, and he was like not a nice guy. And everything that I say from the past, I want you to know that like every relationship that I have, the relationship that I have with my stepfather has gone through hell and back. The relationship that I have with my mother has gone through hell and back. And the relationship that I have with my sister has gone through hell and back, as well as my entire family, my grandma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're good. I love everybody to death, praise God. So I'm just gonna recap what it was, like my mom and my stepdad were bankers, 9 to 5, all day long. So like essentially, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. My grandmother cooked dinner for us every single night except on Saturday and Sunday. I saw my grandma every single day of my life till I was like 21 years old, Um, and I used to resent that so much because as I grew up and it was getting into more and more trouble. Like my grandma was like always at my house, dude. Like, and I was having shenanigans at the house, but we'll get there. So I'm being raised by my mom. I'm not being raised by my stepdad. He's just in for the discipline. And that's whack because we're not building a relationship and he's just punishing me sometimes, or just like doing what he has to do. And I'm like, my mom's is like, my mom's is doing everything, but like when it came to like the reprimanding, it was him. And I was like, bro, this don't add up. Like I'm rocking with my mom's, but I got to deal with you. So, and forgive me as I get into this story, I'm going to try and make it a lot more whatever. It is what it is. God's rocking with my words, and he knows what's on my heart. So I don't know if you've ever grown up in an uncomfortable environment, but that's what I come from. It's uncomfortable. It's foreign, right? It's not like, I didn't grow up in it, and I know nobody did. And I know there's a lot of dysfunction in this world, and I know most every family has it. There's no such thing as a perfect family. But the importance that a father plays in a son's life is tremendous. And I've seen so many beautiful examples of that, of so many, like you look at great men, most of them, they have a great father, period, point blank. Most great men have a great father. And I was so jealous. I when I was young, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I spent the night at my friend's house as much as I could because they had their fathers there. And so just being around my best friends and growing up with their fathers, like, I was able to, if you can relate, I was like able to vicariously get that, because it wasn't at home, you know what I'm saying? Step Pops was coming home probably in a bad mood, doing middle management, in finance. And my mom they just worked desk jobs, and they were just, they made money. We like money is whatever. Money's been fine in my life. We didn't grow up rich. We didn't grow up poor. Obviously, if you know finance, your sort of income, well, not theirs. They weren't in sales or anything, but primarily dictated by the market as far as your hiring and your firing and, how long your job security, all that stuff's going to be dictated by the market, right? So in the 90s, things were good. In the late to early 2000s, things shifted a little bit. And then ultimately in 2008 was like when all hell broke loose and, they were really scrambling for jobs and had to take a step back. But ultimately all that stuff worked itself out. But things like this happened when I was young, right? Like if my mom tells me I used to follow her around a lot. Mama's boy, 100%. My sister, USC graduate in neuroscience, she was a nerd. Forever. Like, it was almost unreal. She did gymnastics growing up. She was this beautiful gymnast, and she was a straight A student, valedictorian. Just never did anything wrong. Gorgeous, and she has everything. She had everything, has everything. And it was weird for me because I was just like a loudmouth clown, charismatic, leader, but outspoken and always getting into trouble. And the troubles just started from early with me because like I said, I didn't know discipline or authority, and but I was like soft and sensitive, still am to this day. And I hate to even say this, but like, just for whoever's out there, like when I would cry, like my stepdad might sit me in front of the mirror and have me watch myself cry, little things like that, right? Which I can hardly remember, but they might have a profound impact on me psychologically. I don't know. And I'm not trying to, like I said, you look at me right now, you look at my family right now, it's blessed. Everybody's cool, but I gotta walk you through what I went through in my life so you understand where I'm coming from, so I can establish some credibility amongst you men. So and again, what can I say about true love? What can I say about marital relationships? What can I say about how to raise how to raise children, right? I'm not trying to be a therapist, and I'm not trying to sort of give counsel on what I think stuff is, right? All I know is that I had mad emptiness in my heart, in my mind, in my soul for a long time, and the environment that I grew up in was typical. And when you trace that stuff back, like stepfather, no tight relationship, not learning really. I'm not learning anything, yo. I'm not learning anything as I'm growing up. I'm learning as I go, which remains true to this day. I'm just making it up as I go, as we all are. My first love was baseball. My first love was sports. That was my first expression of myself, and I was good at it with no training, naturally fast, good hand-eye coordination. I could pick up a bat and hit the ball. I could catch the ball. I loved baseball. Sports Center every night. Wiffle ball out front. Endless nights and days in the streets playing baseball. Little League. Ironically, I came up with all of my age group, their dads were like the coach. So the older I got, the more I was like, I'm going to try and keep my cursing down too. My character is really trying to work on cussing, but sometimes to get the point across, you let a bad word slip out here and there. Yeah, like growing up, my peers, all their dads were the coaches. So I had to deal with that. Like I had to go to practice every day. I had to go to the games every day, and their dads were the coach. And it was like, where is my dad? Which is a question that will remain. That I've been asking myself for a long time. And we'll get there. But I could just play ball, and it was fun. Win, lose, or draw, it was fun. And then I picked up soccer, and I was good at that, like just naturally fast, could dribble the ball, left, forward. So I played soccer and baseball as a youth. And that was my first dream, was like, I'm going to be a professional baseball player, right? Like so many of us boys. And I'm, from Southern California. Talent was everywhere, and I was there for sure, for sure. And here's some crazy stuff. I'm full-blown lefty, and I didn't even start batting left-handed until I was in high school. I didn't even think about it. Just somehow, right? Let's call this a byproduct of my upbringing, but I was threw left-handed, batted right-handed. Stupid. Was still hitting home runs though. I remember my mom's was giving me a bath, and I was really young. I was like, well, I don't want to play myself here. Was I like 10? I don't know. I was young. And no, my mom's wasn't drawing me a bath. I was in the bath, and my mom came in, and she talked to me. She used to draw me a bath, obviously, when I was little. I used to get in trouble for cussing in preschool. I remember that. It's crazy. I remember my mom was washing my hair, and she was like, "What bad words did you say?" I said the F word for sure, but I was like, I don't know, just the S word, like shit. And that was that. Nothing even happened. Maybe I washed my mouth out with soap. But I'll never forget this. Now, this is actually closer to like, I met my father when I was like 11, 12 years old. I say the first time, because obviously when they split when I was really young, I don't remember that. So I had built up, I've seen pictures of my dad obviously as a kid, and you're just handsome when you're younger. So I had like all these just ideas that I built up in my mind of who he is and what he would be to me. And my mom came in to the bathroom when I was in the bath, and she was like, "Hey, I talked to your dad, and he wants to meet you, or wants to see you." And I was like, "Okay," and I'm already, dude, I've had an attitude forever. I'm like a little kid, I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm cool. I'm the star player on all the teams, whatever, that's kind of my identity at this point. I'll never forget my dad. We had like a tournament, like I showed up to my soccer game. And right when he walked in, I knew it was him. Off 70th Street, I knew it was him. And he was like fat. And he had like an obese girlfriend. And he did not look that healthy. And he showed up and he cheered me on. And after the game was over, I was really shy, and I approached him, and that was the beginning of us trying to mend a relationship. He didn't quit doing drugs, spoiler alert. He didn't quit doing drugs his whole life. So that was a big letdown. That was a really big letdown. I built a hero in my mind, and I wanted so bad this guy to just come, and even at that age, I wanted this guy to come through and just kind of like rescue me, or just be something great. And he wasn't. But he's still my dad. So I respect him. And so this began an on and off relationship. Essentially, like, I got into skateboarding and BMX alongside sports, baseball. So we would like go to skate parks. What are we doing? We're like in middle school now. What are we, like, 7th grade, 8th grade? And he was fun. Like, Pops was fun, Always has been, always will be. He's like a fun guy, right? He would bring like air horns to my baseball games, beep, beep, beep. I remember that. Just getting everybody riled up, all the moms. And he was cool. Like, he was cool with my friends' dads, I mean, if we're picking and choosing at that age, dude, it was like my dad over my stepdad for sure. So I'm drifting at home, It's like I met my dad and now I gotta deal with my stepdad, The fuck? So chaos and confusion are coming in fast for me, man. I don't have any skills. I got athletic skills and I'm funny in school and I got little girlfriends. I love I just love, like, I used to love to go to school just to like, just to like hang out with the girls and meet the girls and Rob, your boy was crushing hard at a young age, just some more escapism. I was crushing hard. I had like my first girlfriend in 5th grade. She lived right up the street from me. And shouts to her. She's still beautiful. And I had to like pull up on her dad and ask her if I could take her to the dance. It was crazy. But I did it. That's how, hey, all you youngsters back then, you had to pull up to dad and take your girl's hand in the 5th grade to the dance. And then you do that dance where you got your hand on their hips, slow motion. I was too scared to do like real dancing. I hadn't quite figured out my rhythm yet. Hip hop was blowing up though. I mean, come on, man. I came up in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And dances were pretty sick. Dances were good. Juvenile? Luda? You don't know about that. You don't know about when Luda hit the scene. You don't know about Cash Money when Cash Money hit the scene. Heard somebody at the end of the Juvenile song by the name of Lil Wayne. You don't even know about that. Youth, childhood, man. Nelly, it's getting hot in here. I used to have, so like my sister was in gymnastics. I used to have all these little girlfriends that were her friends. They did gymnastics. I used to pull up to the gymnastics practice to mess around, say what up to shorties, and crazy. Man, we had the AOL Instant Messenger. Bro. We had the AOL Instant Messenger. I had like 10 chats up with a bunch of different school shorties. Man, in the summertime, dude, chatting and talking to the girls and then seeing my little girlfriend up the street, right? Oh, dude, it was the best. Cause you could just double click on shorty's little screen name. Hey, what up? So like now we're expanding. 6th, 7th grade, 8th grade, we're expanding. Girls are very promiscuous. Dudes are wilding. We're getting older. Hormones are coming into play. I didn't stand a chance. I didn't stand a chance. Life came at me head on, and I suck. I didn't know what to do, right? I don't even know. I just met my dad. I'm thinking I'm cool. I got a big ego. I'm shy at the same time. It was just this crazy juxtaposition of emotions and things going on, and like things are taking shape. Like I'm going down the route. Like my stepbrother, you got to remember, this dude was 7 years older than me, right? So he drove like a dope car back. His first car was like a drop Prelude Rice Rocket exhaust. And this guy, stoner of the century, I've been knowing about that. I used to so like how I kind of came to be as a young man as well is like, dude, we would play video games. I watched this man play video games as a youngster, from Super Nintendo to N64, to Xbox, to PlayStation, and all that. I remember when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out. I remember Star Fox on N64. I remember Street Fighter, endless video games. I don't even think he let me play these video games. I just sat there and watched. But why I did is because he played albums. Yo, I knew about I was listening to the Tupac albums when they came out, was listening to the Biggie albums when they came out, was listening to No Limit, all of them, all the No Limit albums, all the rap albums that came out. We even would do heavy metal. We might do some Metallica, some Pantera. But like just sitting in the room with my stepbrother, you gotta imagine he's been smoking weed since he was like in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So like this is the kind of the culture that I'm gravitating towards. I'm not doing the straight and narrow. My sister is doing the straight and narrow, and I just didn't get it, She's a bookworm. She's a nerd. She reads for fun. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? Yo. She reads for fun. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for a role model. What I'm doing is I'm looking for guidance. What I'm doing is I'm looking for anything outside of myself to fill myself up. That's just the bottom line from a young age. So many different routes, right? It's so many different routes, but I didn't, nobody sat me down and helped me commit to anything. Nobody sat me down and said, hey, Miles, you're good at this, stick to this. Nobody sat me down and said, hey, if you keep doing this, it's going to go like this, right? I didn't have any, just no role models, no nothing, right? Like J. Cole, no role models, no nothing. And as I could sit here and tell you, as much as I wanted to be a good guy, as much as I wanted to continue to excel and progress in my life and just be good, I didn't, Once I started smoking weed, like 13 years old, 14 years old, I'll never forget. We were at the Little League fields. Just hit the Young Bull. We used to hit the Young Bull and ride to Jack in the Box on our bikes and get 10 tacos for like $5. So sleepovers started looking a little bit different. Sleepovers started looking a little bit different. I remember one time, man, I had a couple of my boys stay the night. We watched Billy Madison on DVD. Just came out. Threw that joint in the Xbox One and watched Billy Madison on DVD. And then like one of my friends was like my sister's first boyfriend, so they're like making out or whatever. And then me and my other boy go in the backyard, hit some weed. My mom comes out. It's like the middle of the night. My mom comes out in the backyard and she's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, nothing. Again, like Dude, weed smells, yo, and ain't nobody smoking weed, you know what I mean, other than us in the backyard. So, like, things are being let slid, you know. I'm not an idiot, but at the same time, we're harmless, you know. Like, at this time, I'm making a little bit older friends, you know, friends a grade or two above me, and you know, a lot of kids that I grew up with were like really good at skateboarding, um, really good at skateboarding, hitting the 10, 12 stair at the high school, um, wearing dope clothes. Osiris, shorties. um, I looked the image, you know. I seemed a lot of things at that age. Uh, but a lot of these dudes that I grew up with were living it, you know. Single parent households, apartments, um, fights, didn't give a shit about school. They were raw, you know. And a young wayward boy, I was like, oh yeah. You know, they had the girls, right? They had a big sphere of influence on me. The Osiris G bag with the beat with the B real coming out the speakers, with the Cypress Hill coming out the speakers. Psh, crazy. So I'm making decisions. I'm like, you know what, this healthy life really isn't for me, you know. Um, my dad's a flop. My stepdad, I can't even read this guy, you know. This dude's chilling. I can't even get a read on this guy, you know. I just know I don't want to talk to him. He's kind of a dick. My sister's way too good. We don't relate to anything. Like, she's so good, you know. She's reading Nancy Drew like it's her job. Um And my mom just is like, you know, my mom's just like this pretty lady going to work every day. I don't really know where she's coming from either. My grandma's always cramping my style, dude. You know? When weed and women hit for me, I lost it. I lost it. That was it. That's all I cared about. I got a little shorty on the side. I got a little girlfriend. I had like a girlfriend you know, multiple girlfriends every year in every grade forever. Um, I stopped playing baseball. I didn't have the hustle anymore. There's a couple of significant events that I actually want to talk about. You know, and I'm not trying to put anybody on Front Street, but this will make a lot more sense as I kind of segue into some serious matters here. The reason why I quit baseball is because some weird cycle of events happened. I started working out at the gym when I was like 12 years old. I love going to the gym, and I went to this little like super steroid gym in the cut, hole in the wall gym. It's called Fitness World. It's turned into one of my first jobs actually. Um, Dudes were roided up, dude. This is the first time I'm seeing guys bench like 3 plates, jacked. See dudes in the locker room, ass naked with like, I'm like, bro, how does a back even look like that? You know, how do arms even look like that? You got 3 biceps. Sick. Dude, I got jacked when I was young. I got like buff when I was, you know, shouts to the genetics. I got super buff. And that's played a huge role in my muscle memory, you know. And I'm super active today. But at this gym that I was going to, there was like this dude, you know, this guy. Call him Bob. Like, one thing I gotta, let me just paint this picture here. My stepdad was like a couch potato for a while, Like, my mom's wasn't really satisfied emotionally or whatever. So you got this young stud, and he played pro ball. He got drafted by the Cubs. He would come out and watch me play, and he was like, yeah, there's something to work with here. So this dude put me up on on an exercise regime. And, he was very, handsome dude. I was 15. He let me drive his new BMW around the parking lot. Just cool shit like that. He was super cool. And I was like, man, this guy, fuck, bro, I wish this guy was my dad, right? Every cool guy, I was like, I wish this guy was my dad, Yeah, I was anti-family growing up, dude. I was just like, ugh, black sheep, don't fit in. I'm always in trouble. I could do 3 hours on how much I was grounded in the ground. Door ripped off the hinges as a youngster, sneaking in and out of the house, problem child. But back to the lecture at hand. So my mom and this guy at the gym become pretty friendly. I'm also doing baseball lessons on the side. He's teaching me how to hit a curveball because now curveball is coming into play. He's teaching me how to go oppo. Life is just getting harder, progressively harder for Miles, and I had zero skills. But when I was like 15 years old and I was doing all this stuff, like I was trying to juggle all this with the craziest weed habit in the world, like all day, every day, I'm getting high. Dude, I started Accutane when I was 14 years old. I had the worst acne known to man. Horrible acne. Most of my adolescence was just spent smoking weed and staring in the mirror and popping zits. Embarrassing, but I had to say that. My mom's ends up having an affair with this dude on my stepdad. We even move out of the crib that I grew up in and into some really nice house in deep El Cajon. Furniture. I remember my mom and my stepdad having the talk before we moved out. They were upstairs for hours just having this, argument, obviously. I didn't know like what to feel. I didn't know feelings. I didn't know anything. I had no labels for anything. I had no skills back then to understand. I'm still very young, 15 or whatever. I can only imagine, though, it was probably my stepdad like being like, nah, don't leave, I'ma change. And then my mom being like, nah, if you could, you would. Something like that, right? And like, dude, I'm like, where's my stepbrother? He's out of the house. He doesn't have to listen to this stuff. Where's my sister? I don't even think she knows what's going on, really. She's just rolling with everything. And I'm dude, I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And I just heard this argument go on and on and on, dude. And then next thing I know, we're moving out, We're moving out, and I'm bent, bro. Like, I still have a soft spot for my stepdad, and I'm moving off the block. Yeah, endless nights in the street playing ball, endless friendships, endless hide and go seeks, endless bike rides, endless rollerblades, endless skateboarding out in front of that house. That's my life. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I think when I was like 12 years old, I did like one of the worst things I ever did, and I got in a lot of trouble for it, and I experienced a lot of guilt and shame over it. And it forever altered the trajectory of my life because, I got the shit kicked out of me, so to speak, by that stepdad. I did something just super shameful, and it made me it altered me. The repercussions altered me. Like, things just weren't the same. Like, if I was on the fence, I went to the bad side after that, and I carried a lot of guilt and shame over this thing that happened from a young age. It made a severe imprint on me. I was just acting out weird. I was just acting out. I was getting, like, my hormones. I was developing as a man, dude, and just, I don't know, bro. Just acting out in a young sexual way that got me in mad trouble. So, and you had the Accutane, you had the weed, suicidal thoughts. I remember being young at Sioux Plantation, like, just finished my salad, and I went to get like some pizza and some macaroni and cheese. And this voice was like, yeah, you kill yourself, try it. Try committing suicide. And I was like, whoa. What was that? That was a byproduct, I think, of the Accutane. But at the same time, in retrospect, obviously there was a predisposition for thinking like that. A lot of this stuff that I'm spitting too is like, it's not breaking news, but I don't go around telling people this stuff. And you're like, Miles, what are you doing? You put this on, you're like, I'm broadcasting this out because we're going to get through my life, and you're going to see that there's no other choice for me but to help men. Like, that's, through my experience, that's all I care about. That's all I want to do is just help the next man go through whatever to get to a better place. So things are getting a little more rocky, on that subject. And I know I'm bouncing around a lot. I think around that time, my dad was trying to tell me that my biological dad was like telling me like, bro, he would tell me wild stuff. He would be like, yeah, I took a whole bottle of Advil. And then he would turn it into a joke and be like, yeah, I think the only reason that I didn't die is because they were the liquid gels or something like that. And I was like, or he said one time, like, I thought about just tying a big rock around myself and jumping into the lake, Bro, I'm like 15 years old, dude. And I'm like, well, what the fuck, yo? He stayed in some tweaker pad in Linda Vista. His girlfriend, the obese one, OD'd and died on pills. He woke up next to that. And I think that had a really, really profound effect on his psyche as well. I remember that clearly when she passed away. And she had a son. This kid, oh my gosh. This kid would not shut up. He was wild. I remember he got his tooth knocked out at the skate world at the roller rink, and he wore like the retainer with the tooth in it, with the fake tooth in it. And he still thought he was hard, but he was just this soft little pudgy kid, Josh. One of the funniest things that me and my sister still joke around. Me and my sister and my dad and this kid were at at the buffet, and we're at the buffet one time. It's like it's not even a Golden Corral, hometown buffet. And this kid's he puts the pepper on the table and snorts it, and the waiter comes by and he goes, he's sniffing the pepper. What? It was like, we were all like, I have no idea what this kid is doing. He is sniffing the pepper, exactly. And my dad used to get so mad, dude. My dad used to not beat his ass, but just be like, God, you used to see my dad get frustrated, man. While we're on the subject, man, of us hanging out, my dad would go to, my dad loved Qualcomm Stadium. The dude was the dude would get all hopped up on whatever, Crystal or whatever. And I figured this out later, I can only figure this out later. But he used to get all hopped up with that guy's older brother, pepper sniffing kid. His older brother, he was way older, took me to illegal street races, was drinking and driving. We would go to illegal street races over by Mission Valley. People had the fake police siren. And this is the day of the Honda Civic and the CRX, dude. Somebody pulls out the fake police siren, and everybody, runs and gets in their car and leaves. This LaCroix is done. I'm pissed. So my dad, we would go to baseball games. Love the Padres. Go to baseball games and it'd be all hopped up, and he would be doing laps around the stadium, and we would just be walking around the stadium. My dad would get into these fights at the stadium, and he'd been doing that his whole life. When I was older and I was able to meet some of his friends, his colleagues, guys that he knew and grew up with, he was forever just going around the stadium, getting into fights. And I remember him just headbutting this guy one time, and the fight breaking out. And and another weird cultural thing too was my dad was more Mexican than he was Italian. He still ran my grandfather's business in the ground and his dad's business in the ground, and then they just ended up rocking with skeleton crew, Hispanic guys. So he was always speaking Spanish, and he always had a cholita girlfriend. So I'm and again, dude, so many things are going on in my life, right? My mom is married to the whitest man in the world. It's my stepdad. My real dad is a complete minority and an immigrant. And me and my sister definitely kind of more so look like we had the darker features. And my mom's blonde. And I just didn't fit in anywhere. And even with my own dad, he was speaking other languages, and I was like, yo, I'm just so behind. I'm just so lost. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm just tagging along these wild adventures as a young kid, And the only solace that I really find is when I'm getting high, right? So I become a full-blown drug addict by the time I was 15. We'll get into that. I'm just wanting to paint some scenes for some dudes out there to relate to. Fights, death, suicide, all that stuff. It's just kind of in the peripheral as I'm trying to make my way in this world, And then in my group of friends, as we start partying more, shit just starts going south quick, because I can't control myself, and I'm getting into mad trouble, and I'm getting them into trouble, and I'm pulling them into my trouble, and they don't want any part of it. So like my circle of friends completely changes. My best friends growing up don't want to see me anymore. We don't hang out anymore. And you know what? I'm like, yeah, I'm just looking at everybody like you goody two shoes. Everybody's really goody two shoes. You guys are going on. You guys are living your good lives. You guys are excelling in everything and making new friends, right? Shit went downhill when I got into high school big time. You start bringing in the new counties and the other schools all coming together. And, I didn't stand a chance. Like, nobody wanted to be my friend. I didn't even want to be my own friend. I just had a lot of demons inside of me. I blew it one time really bad, when I think after a baseball game, we all ate some mushrooms. And I ate some mushrooms. I feel like I did as much as everybody else. Drank some orange juice. And I lost my mental. I fried my balls off. But we'll get in. That story will come to light as far as the details. I mean, the story in and of itself, that's another 4-hour story with the mushrooms. Short story long, I ended up having to call my stepdad to come pick me up from the beach because I was just frying balls and I couldn't get out of it. I blew it with my friends. I say my friends. They weren't really my friends. But yeah, I got grounded again for that, dude. And like I couldn't see my girlfriend. And I was like, dude. That was like 15. I used to blow coke and be on my landline when my mom and my stepdad went to sleep. I would get on the landline and just talk to my girlfriends all night, like literally till the sun came up, and then I would go see him at school. I was doing like chemistry homework. My friend who introduced me to cocaine would come over. We'd do some chemistry. I would do the chemistry labs, and then he would copy them. And then I would play Grand Theft Auto. I would put my music on. I put put the game 50 Cent on, whatever, Eminem. Play Grand Theft Auto and just be on coke, and just be tripping, dude. Just be like, wouldn't come out of my room. Didn't want to see my mom. Felt like every time I saw my mom and my sister, they were looking at me really funny. Like, what the is wrong with you? For good reason. Like, for good reason. Of course. Yeah, that thing that happened to me when I was younger, by my own hand, it began a guilt shame cycle, and no matter how bad I wanted to be on the up and up, no matter how bad I wanted to be face to face in my life with my circumstances, I just couldn't. I couldn't, and I made progressively worse and worse decisions over and over and over again, and every single time I did, I introduced myself to a new drug. So let's double back now to when my mom left my stepdad and we moved into that new house with that new guy for a week. The relationship lasted for a week. Something went down. And here's another story too, is like, I don't know my mom well enough for her to even like keep, I haven't known how my mom has felt for my entire life. She just does what she does. And I got to follow for some reason as a young kid. Last relationship lasted a week, and we ended up moving back in. The night we ended up moving back to the block that I grew up on was a Friday, and started doing ecstasy. We would have the Friday night football games. real who's who out there. Fire football team, great high school football team, fun to watch the games. And man, I would just pop these e-pills, go to the dances or whatever, hang out, just fry my balls off. This was like there's no hiding. Like when you start doing, designer drugs and harder drugs, there's no hiding them. Like I'm just coming home off my brain, just eyes are bugging, smelling like liquor, smelling like weed, bugging, tweaking, tripping. This is before Molly, dude. These pills are pressed with like God knows what. Some were very tweakerish and some were super chilling. I'll never forget it, man. The day I come back into my childhood room. I'm back, coming. This is the first time I did E. I'm feeling amazing, and my stepdad comes in. And he opens the door and he says, "It's good to have you back." And there's like weights on my floor. He had rearranged my room while I was gone. He was like working out and stuff. He was like working out and trying to get through the pain of having, had to have his family shifted for a little bit. And I think I said it's good to be back, Cell phones are out, but not like you're talking like a Nokia brick phone, man. You're talking like a two-way, man. You ain't talking like technology like it is now. Like I said, I was rapping on the landline my whole life. That was like a heavy moment as I felt really bad for him. At the same time that I'm becoming a huge delinquent, I also have a huge heart and a lot of empath, and I'm a very creative person. So while I'm trying to be hard, I can't because I'm just raw in everything that I do. Crazy sensitive. People get high, I would get 10 times higher. People would get drunk, I would get 10 times more drunk. That's just how it goes for me. And I was trying to keep up with everybody. Who was I trying to keep up with? I had no idea how to balance anything. Just a huge question mark on my life. 15, 16, 17. I'm starting. I began high school as a promising athlete and young scholar. I was in the Key Club. I ended high school with a DUI, some petty offenses, and a small time drug weed dealer. Oh, with a heroin addiction. So we might as well get into that. All of the uncomfortability and all the uncertainty in my life, there was just one place to find certainty: drugs. At the expense of all friends, all girlfriends, all relationships, all of my entire life shrinking into one tiny little habit. Now, if you can remember something called the opioid epidemic, right, which killed hundreds of thousands of kids and adults. Oxycontin came out 06, 07 when I was around that age. So we started by, and these are the 80s, these are the real deals, peeling the time coating off, cutting these pills up, putting them on foil and smoking them. It was a very expensive habit, $60 a pill at that time. Luckily for me, a kid that I grew up with, one of my best friends that I grew up with, turned into one of the most prolific drug dealers I'd ever seen, who since vanished off the face of the earth. So hopefully I could I could resurface with this kid and talk to him. I'd love to get his vision on some things. Maybe he'll get on the show one day. That'd be crazy. I ain't seen him in like 15 years. He was the first person I ever seen a huge ball of heroin with. Huge ball of heroin. Black tar. I'm making bad decisions. I got a DUI when I was 17 on July 7th, 2007. Huge high school party. Everybody's there, mixing it up. Got a bunch of weed I got a bunch of weed in the bag. I got the scale on me. I'm drinking Crown Royal. I lived at the base of this mountain. I was going to write a movie about this. I'm going to make a movie one day. It's called Mount Helix. And this mountain is like 3 different ways. Like, you got this facing this direction is this genre, facing this direction is this genre, facing this direction is this genre, and it encompasses the whole county of San Diego, essentially. It's in East County. So all of the walks of life and all of the little side streets, I grew up smoking weed on these streets up and down the block all day long. It's where I took it's where I took girls, it's where the parties were, it's where a lot of things went down on Mount Helix. Leaving the big party on Chinese New Year, I'm like 2 blocks from my house. Literally, I roll a stop sign and I get pulled over. I'm driving a dropped Chevy S10 with some chrome wheels, all white, 2 12-inch subwoofers in the back. I rolled a stop sign. I knew I was fucked. Pulled over, smoke. I'm smoking like 2 blunts on the way home. Smoke billows out of my window. Weed is not how it is now in California, right? It's probably wrecked back then, maybe. But you're still getting in trouble with a little dime bag of weed. I'm a minor. I get pulled over. They find the scale. They find the weed. It's like a little ounce of weed or whatever. Crown Royal Velvet is on the floorboard of my car. Call my mom up. And I get to go home. I'm a minor. Call my mom up and I get to go home. They arrested me formally, and then we went to downtown La Mesa, the police station. And they cut me loose to Mom's Duke, and the one thing that I did have was a horrible attitude back then. I was like talking bad to the police officers. I was upset at my mom. Had a really, really, really bad attitude. The next day, all I wanted at this, all every young man who is very lost wants is freedom. I was so oppressed, and it's a silly word, but like, I was always in trouble. I was always under the thumb. I was always being watched. I was always grounded. I was always getting into trouble. I was always doing the wrong thing. The next day, my mom and my stepdad sat me down and they said, "Hey, we're going to cut you loose. From now on, don't ask us for anything. We're not going to help you with anything. You're done. You're on your own. And that's the one thing that I wanted, and the way that I got it sucked so bad. Like, it made me so sad. Because I don't know that I'm crying for attention. I don't know how to process my feelings. I don't know, like, what I need, right? I don't know. Yeah, I need saving. I need help. I need something bad. And I keep going down, 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 down. So my addiction to like heroin just picked up at this time for sure. I'm bumming around. I don't have a license. I'm just not doing anything productive, you know? Like, I got into state. I got into SDSU. I had to pull up to SDSU with a drug habit and no license. Like, being in school was the last thing that I wanted to do. But I graduated high school at 17 years old. I graduated high school with straight A's. I have no idea. Barely went. I used to roll out of my car Spicoli style on Wednesdays, minimum day, and go to class and get harassed by my teachers. You smell like alcohol, 7 a.m. You smell like alcohol, and you smell like smoke. But Wednesdays were dress for success day, so I had a suit on. English for business, if anybody can remember that. The great disguiser, the great chameleon, the great actor, Miles. Dying on the inside. I start going to state. Craziest story in the world. I don't even know. This is another episode. Pledging Sigma Chi. Short story long. The house is getting on drugs. I shouldn't even be there. I don't even belong there. I got like kidnapped by the bros. They knew I smoked weed. I made friends with the president of the student body of San Diego State. You can go back and look these articles up. He got arrested on a DUI. And it's not funny at all, but the president of the student body took a liking to me for some reason. I always had like a big homie who took a shine to me, right? And as I grew up, they became like pimps, players, and hustlers. But right now, as the president of the student body, happened to be part of Sigma Chi. I didn't get harassed. I didn't get hazed. None of that. As a matter of fact, I sat back with the bros. What is this, like my third, fourth week pledging? Everybody's going through it. And I'm sitting back with bros just getting high while everybody's doing bitch work. You know, so I've always had this sense of being untouchable, of not like getting into trouble. I remember one time he invited me over for something called Way High Wednesday. And it was like such a juxtaposition because like he knew he couldn't be like seen with me, like introducing me to girls, like giving me the little things. I'm going to the library, but really it's like, yo, meet me at the library, little drug deals. You know, here goes all the shorties that we hang out with. These are all the hangers on. These are all the little groupies. Bah, 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 bah. Um, hmm. My big bro, man, Mikey, gave me a bottle of wild turkey and a blunt on Big Bro night. Rest in peace, he overdosed. A lot of people I know have overdosed. A lot of people that I know aren't here anymore. For some reason, I'm still alive. For some crazy reason, I'm still alive. And we're going to get into that. Way High Wednesday, I get kidnapped by the bros. And like 20 of them file out of the closet. I got the bong up to my face. And they're all like, because you're not supposed to get high as a pledge. You're not supposed to be doing any of that stuff. You're just supposed to be getting jacked all day, bitched all day, ridiculed, hazed all day. I'm up in here on Way High Wednesday. I freak out. I drop everything. I run out the front door. I like, at this time as an athlete, that was not me. I lost all my speed. I was like skinny and scrawny. And like there's these two twins and one of them just tackles me in the lawn. They throw me in the car and they kidnap me and they're calling like my pledge president and they're all they put a blindfold on me and they drive me around. Like it was mad corny to a young drug addict like myself. It was mad corny. Like school was mad corny, college was mad corny. Going to a university was super corny. Sitting in class, all the studying, all the reading, all of the knowledge sucked. All I wanted to do was drugs. That's all I knew how to do. That's all I could do. And so when my pledge mates all reclaimed me and the whole charade ended, I think that was it for me. I was like, this is stupid. Watch out. I was like, this is stupid, man. Like, dude, everywhere I go, it's the same old thing, man. It's like, I don't admire anybody. I don't respect anybody. I don't really think people have anything to offer. It's a bunch of who's who. It's a bunch of people trying to be cool. I was like, dude, I'm done, bro. I dropped out of state to just continue to feed my heroin habit. I'm not doing like, yeah, I'm smoking weed, but like I'm doing straight dope every single day. And because when you stop, obviously you get sick. And I didn't want to get sick. Now I'm functioning. I'm going down, but I'm functioning. I'm like a little bum in my mom's house, living in my room, keeping little girlfriends, working terrible jobs, just terrible jobs, just staying afloat. And this is like all we know, this is like all I know. I got like a couple of friends and we're just kind of getting high every day and we're just trying to figure it out. And when you're just trying to figure it out, you end up becoming a criminal. I just became basically a petty criminal. My hustle while I was at school, and you can't do this anymore, but I would take a brand new textbook and I would resell it back to the bookstore. Take a brand new textbook, $100, $60, $80, $75. I would literally take it off the shelf, go to a different bookstore, hey, I'm done with this class, biology. Here goes the book. I'm done. Semester's over. They would give you cash on the spot. I'm like getting kicked out of my house every other month. Just shenanigans. I mean, I'm at extreme ends with my mom and my stepdad. Extreme ends, dude. Like, we don't like each other. And it's obvious. I would go and stay with some buddies around the way, typically dealers. And, and I would steal like from my friends' parents. I would steal money from purses. I would steal jewelry and pawn it. I had some jewelry. I hawked, as a young Italian, I was given the gold crucifix and the gold chain. Pawned. Gold bracelets. Pawned. I just essentially hawked my life away as much as I could, as often as I could. There's something to note here. Gold was crazy at this time. Like, gold was crazy high. This is before crypto. This is before anything. Gold, if you look around 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Dude, I was getting mad money for some gold. And I remember one time I got like a G for this bracelet. I didn't know if I was going to buy like a pistol. But what I did is like, I ended up going down to TJ. I'm like 17 at the time. I ended up going down to TJ with my buddy, and I kept seeing this guy when I was at the clubs. He was like in a trench coat. This dude was evil, it's so obvious. And I'm like, I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm like dressed nice. I got like a nice pea coat on. Got a nice little haircut going. And, dude, I'm the third stop of the night, and I see this guy, and I'm like, yo, and I was in Spanish. I was in like advanced Spanish before I dropped out, and I could speak a little bit, and I ended up just conversing with this guy in Spanish and basically asking him for some dope. Showed him some money. Boom, boom, boom. Dude. I get robbed in TJ, big time. Get robbed in TJ, and it's feeling like it's about to be a kidnapping. I'm in a dark alleyway. I'm off the main Revolution, and just so naive and so strung out at the time, Man, I saw creatures of the night, dude. The trannies coming out, the prostitutes coming out, and I ain't talking like, the ones you the ones you want, they're at the clubs. The ones you don't want to see are where I was. What are you doing? And then it's the locals pressing me. It's the gangsters pressing me. What are you doing? So I got my ass up out of there. I don't know where. I just ran. I tried to run to lights, tried to run to music, finally make it back. Catch a nice sunrise cab back to the States, back to San Diego. that shit was demoralizing because I don't know if you've ever been robbed before. It's not fun. And that's what we put out, we get in this life. What we put out, we get in this life. I was doing like nothing good on a daily basis. And so I wasn't getting anything good in return. Heartache, pain, strife, struggles all day long. How do I keep my habit going? How do I keep my habit going? How do I keep my habit going? I remember, I remember my mom and my stepdad had no idea what I was really up to. And I remember when it was kind of going down, it was kind of crashing. I had beef with somebody, and a big theme in my life is when I think violence is about to erupt in my life, God sort of intervenes and does what he does. I was like 19 years old at the time. And sit down. I was like 19 years old at the time. And, me and my friend have been going back and forth, probably over some money, some this and that. And we're both using. And he stayed right down the street. And we just got into it. And I was going to go down there and just like, I was just going to pull up on him and see what happened, maybe fight, maybe something more. And I'm visibly upset. I think I tell Mom, like, yo, Mom, I'm leaving. And she's at the top of the stairs. That's where it always goes down. She's at the top of the stairs. She's like, yo, what's wrong with you? You look upset. And I'm like, nothing, and I'm throwing an attitude. And then like my stepdad is like, comes into the picture for some reason, and he starts grilling me, dude. And I'm like, yo, I haven't been grilled since I was sick, since you guys let me go or whatever. Why are you grilling me? And just the argument starts to escalate. I'm hurting. Like, I need to get high. I need a fix. I'm not in a good mood, right? I'm about to punch my friend in the face. I'm not even calling him a friend. I'm just going to punch this dude in the face. I'm running on fumes too at this stage in the game. I'm like 19 years old. I've dropped out of everything. I can't make community college work. I can't make anything work. I can't get a job. I can't hold a job down. I can't go anywhere. I'm always throwing up in public because I'm always dope sick. I'm pale. I'm skinny. I have nothing. I never had anything, but I got nothing. But you know what I have? I have a mom who cares, and I have a mom who loves me, and I have a stepdad who cares, and I have a stepdad who loves me. And though we don't see eye to eye, they have my best interest at heart. So they start like walking down the stairs, dude, and they're like, "What are you gonna do? Like, what are you doing?" I guess, bro, this is how God works, The conversation went from where it went, and then like they came down the stairs and they sat down. So I'm sitting down on the couch. They're sitting down across from me. And we're going back and forth, and we're arguing back and forth. And out of nowhere, I just say, I'm addicted to heroin. I can't stop. And their jaws dropped, and there was silence. I'm addicted to heroin, and I can't stop. And This is the first time that I knew God was in my life. Praise God, praise Jesus Christ. I knew he was in my life. There's this weight that came off of my shoulder. The weight of the entire world came off of me in that time. They had no idea. They had no idea. To them, I was just probably some loser. They thought I was smoking too much weed. They had no idea the extent of the things that I was doing, that I had been doing. And I just went to my room and I was crying. I went to my room and I was crying. God bless my mother. She came in a short little time after that. And I had gone in, she had got me into rehab the next day. The next day, she's taking me to rehab. You know, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a full-fledged drug addict. I'm pretty young. I don't have like a lot of ideas left. I have no ideas left. I have no idea about anything. I thought I knew things at that age. I had been around some things, you know what I mean? Naturally, you've been around a little bit of violence, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of, definitely a lot of crime. A lot of raids, a lot of this, a lot of that, you know. People start going away, people start going to jail. People start catching cases. But I was always ducking and dodging that stuff, right? Cuz I was right, take it back to childhood. What did I say? I've always been scared. I've always been too scared to really go to that level. But I was around killers, I was around hitters. And I thought, the more I surround myself with these people, the more it'll get. I'll get that way, But at that time, I didn't have it in me. The jig was up. Mom's drops me off at rehab. I'm crying. I don't want to go. Like, yeah, I wanted to go in the moment. I don't want to go anymore, right? I do not want to go anymore. I don't know how to stop. How do you stop getting high? Like, how do you stop getting high? And not to mention, I'm going to be sick. I don't want to be sick. I can't go through that. I've tried a million times to quit. A million times I've tried to quit. It's not going to happen. Coming off of that experience of admitting what was going on with me, I think my mom hugged me goodbye, and the nurses or the intake people are like, you got to come with us. We're taking you in. And I don't want to go. And I had a moment of clarity, and a voice came inside of my head, right? And it said, don't worry. You're going to be fine. I immediately stopped crying. I took a breath, and I went and I left. I walked away from my mom, and I walked in with these nurses or whatever, and and I did the next 30 days inspired, right? I figured some things out about myself, and one of those was a skill. In rehab, they make you write your autobiography. So without thinking. I just wrote my autobiography, right? Much to what you've been listening to today. I wonder if I don't even know if I don't know where it's at. It's gone. Who cares? I read my autobiography and something weird happened. Obviously, I read it in a room full of strangers who were in there for whatever, alcohol, drugs, etc. And the overwhelming consensus after I got done with my autobiography and reading, instead of like when we went around the room and everybody was like, man, I don't know, you give like feedback or whatever. Every single person was like, yo, the way you write is unreal. The way you use words is unreal. So I discovered, I've always been nice with language. I've always been, I admired, pimps, players, and hustlers my whole life. And I was around that for a time. And, but just due to my nature and my limited education, I was able I'm able to write and put words together. So this is the first time that something positive came back at me. That whole time was divine. That whole time I was in there was divine. Like feeling feelings, feeling love, doing something positive and constructive. I needed that so bad. And then you start going to AA and shit. And I did it all, dude. I did it all. Okay. So I found two things. I found a direction and I found some hope. I was like, all right, I'm a writer. I'm a writer. And that landed me in LA, by the way. We'll get there. My writing ended up landing me in LA and working on that stuff. Film, music videos, and TV. I love writing. I just became a poet. My whole life came out, I couldn't stop writing day, night, I started thinking differently. Started devouring everything that I could, literature-wise, classics, novels. I started destroying Hemingway, Fitzgerald, all of that classic literature that they make you read, Frankenstein's, right? All that classic literature that they make you read in school that you can't stand. I doubled back. And my sister, because she's such a nerd, she had all of those books from all of her honors classes. So at 19, I picked up every single famous book in the world, and then boom, and then I took off, and where I landed obviously was Burroughs and Junkie and Henry Miller and Bukowski and Stream of Conscious and the Beatniks and Ginsberg and Kerouac. And all of this art, I got introduced to art, museums. They would take you to a museum in rehab, dude. And I started just going crazy with art, with literature. And I grew my hair out real wild and curly. And I was like junkie chic, I was just I wore thin glasses. I just became like the bookstore hipster. I became the bookstore hipster. And, I picked up the guitar and I learned music. And one of my sobriety brothers was like a professional pianist. Now he's really good on the piano. So he taught me how to read, and he taught me how to read music. And I got a keyboard and I was just playing music, writing poetry, reading books, staying sober, having little relationships with girls, living at my mom's house. I got heavy into film. I got obsessed with film. That's all I could think about was directing and writing for film and cinematography. That's all I could think about all day long. Got like a 35 millimeter camera. Just became obsessed with light and time of day and light and composition and structure. And I got published a grip of times when I was 19 years old in anthologies all across the United States for poetry. I hadn't learned how to write short stories yet until I went back to school. So this was my new identity. I emerged an intellectual from rehab. Praise God. I emerged in an intellectual from rehab. We're going to stop and we're going to do part 2 after this. The resurgence from rehab, the phoenix rising from the ashes that is Miles. There's so much more to go, but this is the first half. This is an introduction to God, to thinking, to philosophy, to something positive. I'll see you in part 2.